Studios production.
Welcome to Profiles of the Creators. In our show, we take a look at and talk to those creatives that dance to a beat of a different drum. As we profile some of the artists, musicians, singers, directors, writers, producers, actors, and other talented creatives that are driven to create art and media in multiple forms. We hope you, our listener, are also inspired to dream and create. Here's your host, Mattel McCarswell.
Hello everyone. Today we're bringing you a creator of a different genre. His name is TJ. He is creator of the popular online puppet show, The Toppets. His main character, Spike the Chupacabra, has fans across TikTok, Instagram, and all over social media. The young high school senior is from a new generation of puppeteers, puppet artists, performers, and creatives. Welcome, TJ, to Profiles of the Creators.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad you're here. So, first off, I'd like to say, I'm not sure our listeners are familiar with this thriving community of puppeteers that are out there creating content, mostly online. So if you could tell me just a little bit, TJ, about how you actually got started in this crazy field. Even though you're definitely one of our youngest creators on the show, I'm wondering how long you've been doing this.
I've been doing this for 4 years now. 4 years doing puppetry.
And obviously, anytime we talk about puppetry, especially in the modern form here in the United States, there's a huge influence in terms of where we would get our inspiration as a puppeteer. And of course, that would be with the master, Jim Henson, and kind of more or less his legacy and how it influenced you as a young puppeteer as it's influenced many growing up.
Well, as a kid, I wasn't a big Muppet fan, not at all. I was a big Ninja Turtles and Star Wars fan as a little kid, but I did not know who Jim Henson was, but he had parts and pieces of my favorite movies, favorite franchises, like Star Wars with Frank Oz doing Yoda, and the Jim Henson Company with the Ninja Turtle costumes. I wasn't a Sesame Street. I thought that was for babies. The Muppets for babies. I kind of liked the sci-fi stuff as a kid, but so I didn't really have anything to do with Jim Henson or in the Muppets. But when I got older, doing puppetry, then I did some research and learned a lot about these creators from the Muppets and Sesame Street.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting that you really didn't know Jim Henson was working behind the scenes on all these projects, and there is a big generation gap, especially with some younger guys compared to some of us old folks that really missed out on that. But obviously later you researched it and found out, and I know you, as a fact, you're a big Muppets fan now.
Yeah, I'm a big Muppet fan. I have Muppet plushies and Muppet shirts, and always waiting. I love Muppets now. I have Muppet replicas. I have a Gonzo. I got a Ralph the dog. I got 3 Kermits. So I'm a big Muppet fan. I love it's very creative. I love the Dark Crystal now.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's a great show that's kind of given a resurgence. I know I grew up in that time period where I think I was really little when it came out, but I didn't, for whatever reason, watch it until way later, just a few years ago. But that new show that's been developed for Netflix, really great job, great homage to the original.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I was really interested in having you on is that it seems like there's this new resurgency and an interest in puppetry and practical effects and filmmaking. And I think that's great, I mean, there's only so much. We've gotten to a point with computer animation, it's so good and it's so clean. It almost there's a yearning for, kind of an older style of creation on film. So
yeah.
So
I think puppetry needs to survive on these platforms like Instagram. You got to figure out where everybody's on right now, TikTok and Instagram, and just be there and make content that people are going to enjoy there. And And that's like, then people are going to be interested in like the Muppets and all these wonderful community of puppets. If you see Spike on the For You page, you're like, oh my goodness, he looks like Kermit. I should watch the Muppets now. That reminds me of the Muppets and that kind of stuff. That's what I think when I'm out there performing online.
Yeah, so let's go back. That's a good segue to how did you get started with puppets? You know, obviously, puppetry isn't necessarily the coolest thing kids can do when they're growing up, but definitely as you developed it. I mean, seeing you develop this fan base and this whole community that's embraced you. I mean, how did that all start?
As a kid, I was very shy. I had a terrible childhood, and only friends I had was as a kid was my toys. So I was always puppeteering my toys, like it's like kind of like stop motion, but like moving like the arm and the legs and stuff, and kind of like puppeteering my toys as a kid, and like they were my only friends I had as a kid. But I went to middle school, and I love art. I love art. I love sculpting, painting, drawing. But I wanted to join art team in middle school, and I couldn't because I was too late. And I always regretted being late in signing up for art team in middle school. So when I went to high school, I signed up straight away to do art team in high school. And I went to the meeting, and I was the only boy in the team. I was very shy, did not know what I was doing. So I would sit there in the back, and the theme that year was sci-fi. We had to make sci-fi paintings and
nice.
All this stuff. So one of the prompts, we have like somebody needs to make a painting but with blinking lights. And then there was a talented boy in my art team. There was two boys in there, actually. There was me and this boy. And everybody loved him, and he was so creative and stuff. But the prompt for sculpting was to make an alien puppet. And he was trying to take all over that prompt. And but he was sick the next day, and the art teacher needed somebody to work on this puppet straight away.
Yeah.
And she was running in the hall, and she stopped, and I stopped her. I'm like, why are you running for? Why are you so nervous? We need to find somebody who can make a puppet. And I'm like, wait, a puppet? It was like the Wiggling Dolls, right? Like on Sesame Street or whatever.
Right.
She's like, yeah, can you make it? I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do it. So the whole day I was just looking up puppets.
So this teacher is running down the hallway, obviously in distress. So what happened from there?
She needed somebody to make this puppet for art team. So I made the puppet. So I did some research on puppets. I was looking up like marionettes and Dark Crystal and Big Bird. I'm just watching these videos. So I went to art class that day, and I just went to town making this marionette. I made this green, slimy, mutated Big Bird creature. Kind of looks like a sketchy in Dark Crystal.
Uh-huh.
It was amazing. It took me 4 months to make. I had to weld pieces. I had to carve it out of wood and clay. It was very detailed. My first puppet was I called him T-Jar. It was like a Jar Jar Binks reference in my name.
From Star Wars.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I took him to the competition, and I'm like, I'm gonna lose this. There's kids here with like these very high-tech Muppet. They look like Muppets, and I was the only one with a marionette. I'm like, I'm gonna lose this. And then I won the competition. I went to state, and I won that. I won state. And my art teachers whispered in my ear and was like, you'll be doing this for a long time, this puppet stuff. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm just gonna be wiggling dolls my whole career. She's like, this is an art form. You should look into this. Wow. It's gonna be your grade for the whole school year, just making puppets. And I'm like, dang it, I want to be a serious artist, not a puppeteer. So I made a marionette. I put that. There was a museum that was asking to have my marionette in a museum, so I gave it to them for 3 months. I was making marionettes during this time, and I came back to pick up my marionette, T-Jar, and I heard they broke him.
Oh no.
The only thing survived was his legs and the handle. And I was so angry. And I'm like, I'm quitting. No more. My art teacher gave me a Muppet movie. And she's like, do some research with this Muppet movie. So I went home, watched the Muppet movie. My mom threw me this black sock. I looked at this black sock, put it over my hand. I looked at Kermit the Frog, and I'm like, I can make something out of this. The next day, I went to school, grabbed some plastic spoons, painted some cardboard white, grabbed some random white fabric I had, and I made this dinosaur creature. I named him Drax the dinosaur. He had like a New York accent and everything.
Right.
And she's like, I don't like the name or the accent. And I'm like, what happened? I call him Spike. And she's like, get rid of the dinosaur part. And I'm like, Spike the whatever. So like these couple months, I had this character, Spike the whatever, and he had like a snake voice. Goes, hello there, son. It was very creepy. And then I gave him an Ernie voice, like, hi there, my name is Spike the whatever. And I couldn't find this character. So I'm like, I'm going to call him Spike the Chupacabra. I always loved cryptids as a child.
Yes, yeah.
Like Bigfoot monster. So I made Spike the Chupacabra. And he's my longest living character right now. It's my fourth puppet I ever made, my first official character. And I just kept on making more puppet characters, and now I'm here today with this giant puppet thing.
Well, it's a great story, and it's kind of funny how this your primary puppet, the one that has his own following now, Spike the Chupacabra, came from a place that has a interesting origin story as your own. So I always wondered about that, and obviously. Yeah. I think that's something that a lot of people have commented that are fans for a long time. The Toppets have evolved from this really kind of homemade feel to being more, like mainstream professional Henson type puppetry over time. And you can see how they've evolved. And even Spike himself, I know he's been through a couple of incarnations.
Yes, this is his fifth rebuild. My friend Frank, he built this Spike for me. I'm so grateful that he did that for me. I did some modifications, like I added legs to the Spike,
yeah,
and all that stuff. But it was I'm not really good at making. I can't make a good Spike.
That's so interesting.
I really can't.
Even though you created it and made the original in several iterations, yeah, it's really interesting, and that brings up how much effort, how much artistry goes into producing a puppet. People think, like you said earlier, as a child, it so resonated with me. I was the only child, grew up. I played with my toys and my action figures, and it's one of those things that we just did, as growing up in order to pass the time. But I think that does build a lot of creativity. But back to the artistry issue of it is that there is a lot of work that goes into puppets. It's not just a doll. It's not a glorified stuffed animal. Like you said, there is welding involved in some of those puppets you're dealing with, and metal and wood and woodworking and engineering that goes behind it.
I don't really work with wood anymore, but I work with a lot of foam and metal. Like I have some puppets with blinking eyes, so I have to like bend wire together to make a eyelid, and there's some wood involved, but that's like mouth plates. But that's pretty hard to. I hate making mouth plates out of wood because I have to cut them and all that stuff.
Yeah, and they can get pretty heavy too if you some of the beefier puppets.
I only have one. I have like two heavy puppets. I wish I didn't do that. How I made them. I wish I like hollow them out even more. But
yeah,
live and learn.
And just for our listeners that are listening at home or in the car, wherever they happen to be, I'm talking to TJ, and I can see his workshop, and it is a very magical place with all kind of textures and creatures that are somewhat alive or sleeping or
Yeah.
in different forms of disarray. But it's really cool. It's kind of almost like what I would imagine a young Santa Claus or a young Jim Henson's workshop might be like.
It's a mess. We have like eyeballs everywhere. We have like a head. We have a foam head right here. So we got feathers and fur. There's tons of puppets right behind me. And there's a giant shelf full of puppets and costumes and stuff. So it's a big mess in my workshop right now.
That's great. All right, well, so that'll bring us up to our commercial break. But when we come back, we're actually going to talk about some of the projects that are coming up and maybe actually talk to Spike for a little bit.
Hello, everybody. Spike the Chupacabra. By the way, I just want to say I miss you guys. I miss seeing you. But right now, life right now is pretty hard. And I'm a little bit scared, okay? But it's okay to feel scared because I'm scared. Maybe even your teachers are feeling scared. Maybe your parents or maybe even your friends are feeling scared right now. But it's okay to feel scared, okay? When I am scared, I sing a song. Maybe when you're scared, maybe you draw or go on a walk or yeah. So figure out what you do when you're scared, okay?
Okay, we're back, and that was a clip from an actual clip from TJ's show, The Toppets, and that was a brief excerpt of Spike the Chupacabra, as he's called. And TJ, so I know Spike is a really popular guy, and he has quite a presence online. But do you think you might happen to, know where he's at? I've heard you guys room together. I'm not sure if that's true.
Yeah, he sort of has a big head now. I'm kind of talking about it.
Yeah.
It's like he has a really big head. Like he talks to toilet paper and Lucko Ducko Bird. Like now he's talking to these big guys, big creators.
I even hate to ask, but you think he might have a couple seconds for us just to pop in and
I think so. Let me get the big guy, the little guy. He's pretty little. Hello there, everybody.
Hi, Spike. How are you doing? I'm really honored to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. I only have like a couple minutes. You're talking to this guy. Jeez.
Yeah, this. I know that you're the star, and obviously we're the first Puppet American and the first cryptid that we've had on the show. So you're filling a lot of categories for us.
Wow, that's awesome. It's an honor. It's a really big honor.
Yeah, so Spike, tell us a little bit about yourself. How you got started in the business, and what you're planning. What are you doing? What are you up to? Who are you dating? Who are you seeing? What are you wearing?
Well, that's a lot of questions. What was the first one again?
What are you up to? How have you been?
What I'm up to, I'm ending my talk show on Instagram called Spike Talks. I interviewed a lot of wonderful people, like one of your friends. I interviewed him, and so I'm ending it this Tuesday or whenever people are listening to this. But I've been doing this for 3 months now, I think, doing my talk show, and I'm finally going to go back to work doing my other project. We're working on a movie and 4 TV shows.
Wow, that's quite a bit.
It is. I'm only in 3 of those. The three TV.
You're really making big headway for both Puppet Americans and mythical animals.
Yeah, exactly. There's not whenever I talk to people, everybody's afraid of me. But then when they talk to me even more, they're like, "Oh my goodness, this guy is a gentle, calm chupacabra. Don't be afraid of me. Don't judge a book by its cover."
Oh,
What
no.
I teach the kids.
Yeah, I think kids love you because you get past the fangs, and I know that's just more of a biological development that you've made in order to eat and survive, and but behind the fangs, it's this welcoming smile, and the kids love you, the adults too,
Yeah,
and the ladies.
Yes.
I've heard is that true?
the ladies.
Yes.
Where's Cottontail? Is she here? Okay, because she's not here. Yes, the ladies love me. They do.
Well, that's great. I'm sure with 4 shows in a movie, I would say you're your star would be rising, and you may even get more attention.
Yes, I got a lot of attention on TikTok and on doing Spike Talk. So, ladies, always call me up all through the night. Oh, man.
Well, that's great, Spike. We're glad to have you, and we wish you a lot of luck with your projects, and we'll make sure that the ladies get your Instagram, and that as busy as you are, you always have time for them.
I always have time for people, yes. But don't tell Cottontail I am talking to other ladies. Please don't tell her that.
That's okay. This is only going up on Apple and Google and.
Oh no, she's gonna listen to this. Oh boy.
Yeah, we can edit it out. It's fine.
Oh, okay. You know, by the way, she's my girlfriend, so I don't want her.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking to ladies. No, we're good. Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
It's a professional operation.
Gotcha.
All right, Spike.
I don't trust that, but
you're fine. I'm sure TJ will vouch for you.
Oh, wait, who is TJ? That's a good question.
He's the guy that we have on the show that I think pulled you on.
Oh,
yeah.
We kind of sound the same a little bit, like a little smidge, you know?
Yeah, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
You know, what says that? Copying's the sincerest form of flattery.
I think so. I think he's copying me, though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When you're a celebrity, people are going to copy you.
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah.
All right, Spike. Well, thanks again, and good luck with your future ventures, and we'll be talking to you soon, I'm sure.
Oh, cool. Thanks for having me on.
All right, no problem.
That's over with. Oh, my goodness.
Wow, that guy really. Yeah, he's got quite the ego. Imagine when that movie finally comes out. So, TJ, that brings up a good point. Is the vocal tone? Obviously, there's a lot of your personality and your voice there, and I always thought that was a great homage as well, because if you hear the classic, you know, obviously Kermit's been through so many iterations. With Jim Henson's passing, and even Jim Henson when he was alive, he had different phases of Kermit. But the thing that always resonated is there was a little bit of Jim in Kermit the whole time. You know, it wasn't like Mel Blanc when he turned into Porky Pig or one of these other characters, which obviously these great voice actors have the ability to do, and I know you do as well. But your primary character is... his heart and soul is somewhere in there.
It is. Me and Spike has like a little bit of a bad childhood and a dark life. Had a dark past life.
Yeah.
But Spike's moving on, and from those labels in life that people give people is like, you're a monster, you're a freak, nobody wants you. That's what I kind of do with Spike. Like, I was always told that as a child. So Spike, you should be the symbol that doesn't matter where you come from life, you can be a superstar, just like Spike. Kind of have that.
I love that. That's a great message for especially the younger viewers, and someone that's had adversity, as a lot of creatives have early on, and to be able to channel that into something positive and creative and fun and exciting. I think that's a great message.
It's a big honor to perform Spike, because he's like Antino American, and I'm not an Antino American, so I tried to play Spike, try to play him as respectful to the culture and stuff. And
yeah, that's a great thing about you, as also being involved in the writing aspect and production. And me speaking as someone who's Latino American, that you do have a lot of Latino fans, because we do resonate with characters just naturally that are, you know, the same genre. It sort of reminds me of Bending Rodriguez from Futurama. You know, the same kind of thing. Obviously, he didn't have that necessarily overt mannerism, but when he opened up his chest, he had the Made in Mexico symbol. Yeah. And he's like our biggest. Yeah, that I get that same vibe off of Spike. You know, he's like one of us, you know. So that's really interesting, and I love that about him. And he's obviously your primary character, but you have a ton of other characters that have their own following as well.
Yes, I have 150 characters in the Toppets, and each character has like their own walks of life. That's why I wanted them, because the Muppets are just like I think for me they're just stars, but they're not like there's not different walks of life with them. There's like I have my first gay character, so I tried to perform that as I do my research when I perform these characters with different background. So I tried to be most honor in my performance, and that's what I want to do for each character, is have a great performance and trying to be accurate to whatever I was, not trying to be racist or any of that kind of stuff. I try to do justice, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like at least as a fan, I've seen your characters, and they all seem very inclusive, but in a realistic way. And in that way, they sort of resonate with me being quite a bit older than you and having that remembering of the original Muppets, where they had a little bit of that adult edge. It wasn't so much Sesame Street. The newer Disney has sort of toned it down and made it more kid friendly. But it can still appeal to kids, and I love that about the Toppets. They're very much kind of an old school throwback in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they really are like the throwback Muppets, but they can talk about adult content,
right? And they have that new modern edge too. So you're not stagnated in this place. They have this new, kind of vibe going on, and obviously in TikTok, and that sort of brings me to where you can find your content. You have a great following on TikTok, and you guys produce a ton of material on that particular platform. And obviously that's a younger audience.
Yeah. The Toppets 58, that's on TikTok. We had 58 Toppets, but the crew kind of grew. So it's like, it should be like Toppets 158 or something like that. But yeah, it's a great platform. I do a lot of duets with people. When people tag me in a video, when I get that video, somebody tags me in it, I go and do that video with them. I really like to respond to the fans. That's not a lot of creators do, is just really talk to the fans, get like learn about them fans a little bit more, like what they want to see with these characters. That's what I try to do on TikTok.
Yeah, and that's great that you resonate with your audience, because there's some creators that are just, I'm going to do what I want to do, and hopefully I'll find an audience. So to me, that's sort of refreshing, people that actually cater to the audience, and you do change and kind of move in that direction of where your audience is moving towards.
Yeah, in the beginning, all this stuff was for my school and just like messing around with my friends, and then it kind of evolved into like this big thing.
Yeah, and
just a joking Boy Scout. I bring Spike to meetings. I just mess around. And somebody in my troop told me to do TikTok, and I made one TikTok video, and that blew up.
Wow, that's great. So where else can we find you and Spike on social media?
The Toppets 58 on Instagram, and Spike La Chupacabra. I'm very active on that account, or Spike's active on that account.
And that's also on Instagram, correct?
Yes, he's on Instagram. I believe he has a new TikTok channel on the way, so look forward to that. He's trying to he's pretty much branching off from the Toppets right now. If you kind of see slowly, he's kind of branching off and doing his own thing. So I hope he sticks around.
Yeah, so hopefully Spike sticks around, and obviously you guys have some great content coming out. So tell me a little bit about this Tuesday live show, and this is the end of a great following with the Spike live show.
Spike Talk is ending because I'm working on other projects now, going back to work and doing all that stuff, and I want to have my main focus on doing that. And so I had to make a decision to stop doing TikTok or stop doing Spike Talks. So I chose to stop doing Spike Talks because it's getting so big right now. And I had so many wonderful guests on the show, and I'm like, how can I one up the next season? I had everybody I want on the show or Spike show. I had Toilet Tea Paper, I had Lint Monster, I had all these wonderful guests, and I pretty much got everybody on the show. So it's like, what's the point for going on if I got everything I did everything I wanted to do? So Spike Talk is ending this Tuesday, and we're having a big show, a big celebration. I believe your friend will be joining.
Yeah,
during that stream,
the Latino newscaster John Rodrigo. If we can hopefully get him, he's also not as big as a celeb, but he definitely has an ego, issues.
Like Spike and him, they should go out for like Mexican food or something.
Yeah, that's what they would do. To them, it'd just be food.
But it's going to be a big show. We're going to have some guests we had in the past come in and celebrate the show. I still don't know what's going on. I just know we're doing the final episode on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's great. And obviously people are going to look forward to new content after this and these shows and the film project coming out. So we definitely know we're going to hear more from you and see more of your projects, and I hope that our audience can start following you and follow Spike while they still can, because he's moving on up, and hopefully he doesn't leave us all
But
behind.
we will keep updates on our project on the Toppets, Toppets 58 on Instagram, and Spike the Chupacabra on Instagram, and Toppets 58 on TikTok. We'll put up updates for like our movie or our TV shows. We have two projects that are very, very secret. So I'm really excited to announce those. So stay tuned on those platforms for those announcements, because they're halfway done.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Well, can't wait to hear what comes next from you, TJ, and the mastermind behind Spike the Chupacabra and the Toppets and all your future endeavors in puppetry. And we look forward to hearing what comes next.
Well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
My first interview.
Oh, awesome. Spike gets all the publicity, but I have a feeling you're going to have many interviews in your future.
He gets invited to interviews. I don't. It's my first time being here.
That guy. I'd like to thank you for listening in. You can check us out at facebook.com, Profiles of the Creators, and subscribe to our podcasts anywhere podcasts are found. The theme song, From Negative to Positive, was composed and performed by Tony Nieves Jr. The show is produced, edited, and hosted by me, Mateo McCarzel, for Macro Studios. Stay tuned for the next show as we bring you in-depth interviews of other creatives on Profiles of the Creators.